All right, welcome back. This is episode 8 of Muay TV. My name is Justin Samaro, and to my left here, my co-host Ezra Regan, and our special guest, James the Sandman Irvin, UFC legend. So this podcast is where we dive deep into the world of combat and action sports, bringing you insights from some of the most notable figures in the industry. Today we have a very special guest, James the Sandman Irvin. James started the UFC journey in 2005 and quickly made a name for himself with his striking ability and knockout power, earning the record for the fastest knockout in UFC light heavyweight division with an incredible 8-second finish against Houston Alexander. He's fought in the middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight divisions, taking on some of the sport's toughest competitors, including a memorable bout against the legendary Anderson Silva. James now runs the UFC gym here in Rockland, California, where we sit now. James teaches private lessons, group lessons, and runs a pretty engaging social media platform for our gym. Please welcome to Muay TV, James the Sandman Irvin.
What's up, guys?
How's it going, James? Thanks for coming, man.
Good.
Man, I'm so glad we got you on the podcast.
Yeah, I've been waiting. You've had some good people on so far, but I would have done it sooner, but me and you we're here so much during the week.
Yeah, I know interviews with you are rare, especially after you stop fighting, so we're real honored to have you on, and I know a lot of the fans will be watching.
I appreciate it.
Most definitely.
What have you been doing? I mean, since you left the cage, can you kind of tell us a little bit about what you've been doing over the years? Because I hadn't seen you for years. It was probably 15 years since the Anderson Silva fight, and then I know you did a lot since then. Can you kind of take us down that road?
Yeah, at the end of my fighting career, I was living down south, training with Mark Munoz and some buddies down there, and dumb luck, I just happened to be in a Costco parking lot, and I saw a UFC gym, and I had no idea. I'd never even heard of one before, and I just went and walked in there, like, I got to check this out. Went inside there, and the guy that I walk into, which is just random, was the UFC gym president, Adam Sedlak, and I had no idea who this guy was, and me and him just started bullshitting. And he literally offered me a job right then, even though they weren't opened yet. But that was at the end of my career, so it kind of got me started into this. But this is really what I wanted to do most with my career anyways. I wanted to have credentials in MMA, in martial arts. Because when I got into it, there was Kung Fu Magazine horse shit. So guys that didn't really have real credentials. And I wanted to have credentials in the sport because I saw how big this sport was going to be. So when my career ended, I wanted to be able to step into something like this. I had no idea there'd be gyms like this because you remember how it was. There was boxing gyms, kickboxing gyms. There were no MMA gyms at that time. So really kind of just random, me running into a UFC gym, and then it kind of just took off from there. And I've been very fortunate to do very well at these gyms.
Now, you were living up here when we trained together for Anderson Silva. When did you leave Sacramento?
Let's see. I
Like
think
how-
after that UFC fight, you and your brother cornered me in. I think I might have left right after that. I think I wanted to give it
that fight.
Yeah, so me and my brother were involved with training James for several years, and then that was right in the heart of his UFC career. He was working with different trainers, but then he was with me and my brother there for a few fights.
That's cool.
Yeah, but then the Silva fight happened, and we hadn't seen each other until here. And
Actually, there was one more. There was the Silva fight, and then there was that.
Sakara.
Sakara.
Yeah.
It was after the Sakara.
Denver.
Fight. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So you got involved with UFC gym down in Southern California?
Yeah.
And then went into management?
No, I had to get fired because I was a fucking disaster. Yeah, I got fired.
Were you just training people in there?
Let's see. No, so my career got shortened because I ended up started using opiates. So I got hooked on opiates.
You mean in the cage?
Yeah.
Is
I
this
see,
what
yeah.
got you fired? I mean, I don't want to brush. I don't want to
100%.
brush over that. I want to
Yeah,
get.
yeah,
We
yeah.
got to find out.
I was a dirtbag.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a dirtbag. Yeah. Worst employee you could possibly have.
Okay.
At this big, beautiful gym where I could have made a fortune in there. And I even had my boss and my boss's boss telling me, like, you have so much potential here. Like, your name is still pretty relevant. Like, you can make a lot of money here, but in my head, I didn't care. Like, I was thinking about drugs most of the time, getting high, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it just, being late, worst employee. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So That was why you retired?
It was time. I noticed right around 34, 35. I don't hear a lot of guys talk about this too much, but your timing and your reflexes change, and I knew it because I got hit with a couple of punches with guys right in front of me that I didn't even see. And I know they weren't that much faster than me, but I just wasn't computing it as fast as I used to.
Was that going on the years you were with me and Eric?
I don't think so. Maybe towards the end. Kind of hard to tell an exact point because I still fought a handful of times after you and your brother. Down south, I still think I had maybe 5 or 6 more fights in some smaller shows. Did pretty good in some of them, but, caught up with me.
Yeah.
Do you think was that any of that as a result of, I mean, you said age, but were the opiates at that time an issue?
How could it not have been, right? How could it not have had a negative effect on me?
Yeah.
Sure.
So you were doing probably pain management and stuff in the UFC, and then that kind of
shortened my career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, knowing you, you would never guess that.
Yeah, never.
And then
you're so strict and stringent. Yeah. Never.
Well, and also working with you now, I mean, you're like clockwork here. I mean, you never miss, and the consistency's awesome. So, man, your recovery from that, your success with UFC Gym, congratulations on all that.
Yeah, I had to destroy my life to get there, though. Nice cars, nice vehicles, fighting on TV. Like, I had to lose all of that to being in county jail, begging people to bail me out, and everyone not answering their phone or telling me fuck you like they should have, and I just sat in there. So coming back out of that, kind of only had one direction to go.
What do you mean? You got in trouble, they locked you up?
Was that drugs as well, or was that beating somebody's ass or something?
Compilation of when you're a drug addict, simple things like having car insurance, having a driver's license, having your car registered, like simpleton shit.
Yeah.
Having a bank account.
Uh-huh.
Like simple things that normal people have. All of that's a train wreck. So there's like a lot of indicators. It's kind of easy to spot a lot of that stuff out when they want to bullshit you or not. When there's some simple stuff you can kind of eyeball that and see, it's pretty obvious.
So what happened? What was the change?
Being in jail.
That was the lowest.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, there's always a lower, right? You always
Sure.
hear guys say that. There's always a lower.
But that was like the low part that you started saying, I don't want to fucking be in here anymore. And
so I had like an
something?
11-day stay in jail. So, and I can't, it's not very much. But during that time, I got 51-50 twice. I think I was in at least three different fights. Now, when you get 51-50 in jail,
straight jacket, naked, putting the fucking
You know-
holding
how do
cell.
you know?
Because I've been locked up for 7 months.
you get thrown in a fucking cell.
You got the Houdini?
I got thrown in there a couple times.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, losing it.
I didn't have it to me, but
Oh, dude.
it was always the
Sandman, what was the record in jail?
I got a one punch out, one off. Guy on a phone. I wouldn't stop talking.
It was a one-hitter?
Yeah. I warned him, though.
He's
I got
probably
a
a
couple
legend.
Fights.
He's
I got in
probably
a couple
like,
fights with some gangbangers down there. And then because they didn't, I was like 180 pounds.
Where
at the
was
time.
this? What county?
Riverside.
Okay.
Riverside.
So yeah, there was
Yeah.
some.
But no one knew who I was in there for the first couple of days.
Yeah.
And then one of the cops recognized my name and put 2 and 2 together. And after that, I was isolated for the rest of the time.
Why'd they want to find you?
It could have just been I was so psychotic at the time. Maybe they weren't really talking trash to me, but it sure seemed like it at the time. So I figured I better go first.
Was this like a pretty structured county jail, or was this kind of just one of those more in and outs, like you had a bunch of just DUI and kind of fuck offs, or was it somewhere where you'd had a majority of the people staying there for like a year to 2 years?
I couldn't tell you. I don't have that
Okay.
much experience with jail,
Yeah.
but enough.
Yeah. It doesn't take long to have those reoccurring nightmares of somebody shutting that door on you.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
So when you were younger, like when you were in school, did you used to get in trouble in school?
Not too much. My parents, we moved a lot. I lived with a single mom, so we moved all the time. Like there were school years I went to school, like 5 different schools. So I went to a lot of different ones up until we got to high school. I was fortunate enough for my mom to keep us put. So this is home now. Like I grew up pretty much going to Del Oro. Went to high school there for all 4 years. So did my brother, my sister. So I was very fortunate that she kind of straightened things up right around that time.
Golden Eagles.
It's a great
Got
place
it.
to grow up.
I raced my bike right past there up the hill to the Valencia Club. And you keep going up Taylor Road, and then there's the tunnel, Newcastle.
Yep.
Right at Newcastle. Man, when you hit that tunnel, it's you might fall off.
Everybody honks in there.
And it gets pitch black in there.
What is that
Anyways,
water that's been dripping there for
I know.
24/7, 365? I'm like, is this going to cave in? Like, what's that water?
But James, when did you find fighting? When did you find you had a knack in fighting?
So let me back up before then. So in high school, because I was all in on football. Like, that was what I was going to do. I was going to play in the NFL. That's all. Like, I was all in. But I think my junior year, I just turned 16, so I had a vehicle. I looked up a boxing gym, and I went down to your guys' place. But this is when you guys were down off of it was Greenback, right?
Yeah.
The old one down there.
Yeah, Greenback in Auburn, right by the Cinedomes.
Yeah, and it was kind of tucked behind a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I cruised in there one day, and it was either you or your brother. This was so long ago. I got my T-shirt and my wrist wraps, paid my $100 or whatever it was, get the first ones free. The yellow wraps. Anyone used to go to Nasser's would know the yellow wraps.
Ringside.
You got
Yeah.
the ringside yellow ones. I got those there, and then I never went back again. Didn't have the nerve to go back again. So I played high
16?
school ball. Yeah, right around there. I think I
Why?
just got my license.
Shit. You guys have known each other for
nerds.
a long time.
What did we do?
Oh, you guys are terrifying. You know that. But most martial arts gym at that time were.
That's so
but
funny to hear
especially
that
a
from
gym like
you.
that.
Back then,
Because that's the feeling that I got
Hey.
when I came in to meet you. I'm
Hey.
like, oh, God.
back then there was no talking, there was no music, and there was no AC. But man, we had all the killers in there. And you came in, yeah, it was like the Karate Kid when they come in to Cobra Kai. We were getting down, and then it was in the bad
so
neighborhood.
sick.
It was in the bad neighborhood.
Yep.
So when people came in, we were like, and people used to come in to challenge to fight. And once in a while, the old boss, shout out Nasser, he would let us get some. These guys had a mouthpiece. We were getting them in there.
Damn, that's crazy. So you
But
guys have
anyways.
known each other for a long time.
but that
How
was
old were
it.
you at that time?
At that gym,
Well, he said he came in at 16 and to your gym. Were you already there at that
the
time?
same.
I started at that gym my freshman year, so I was 15.
Okay.
And that gym opened in 1992.
Damn.
That's 32 years.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
There wasn't
Me and
like
James are
much
getting
of
up there.
martial arts back then. That was
Me
really
and James outrank you
yes.
in martial.
Absolutely.
But see,
Yeah.
it's so cool because when I
We're
see
fucking
James,
minnow to you guys.
there's only a couple of guys from that era still around. Literally a couple. So me and James get to work together, which is awesome. But I don't take that for granted because there's not a lot of guys around. 30 years. That's incredible.
There's not a lot of guys. The guys that you do see, even at your age, they're not in the shape that you guys are, and that's really cool to see. You guys are still
Yeah.
fit, active.
That's something else.
This dude, James, has got the numbers on the board over there. This guy picks up weight, so still active, still healthy, strong.
But James, you didn't have. Did you have other fighters in your family?
No.
And then when you were a younger kid, were you fighting on the street and stuff?
No, but going from school to school to school, especially in 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, or up to 8th grade, you know how those kids are little bastards, right? Mm-hmm. And then some of the spots were down south, so it was constantly having issues with other kids.
Yeah, see, we knew at an early age that we could fight. And we also knew in our family that it went back multiple generations. But yeah, just like you're a natural fighter. And then it's just interesting to hear. When you found out you had like KO power in both hands, that happened in high school?
No, that did. Who's a very good friend of mine now. I'm not going to say his name. But in high school, yeah, I transferred to Del Oro because I went to Wheatland High first. And then we moved right to Del Oro, like the beginning of my freshman year. And I was having issues with, didn't know he was like a state champion wrestler.
That's the guy that was talking shit?
Yeah, and I got one good shot on him and just put him down, and it changed the rest of my school time at Del Oro. Like, you fucking immediately.
Yeah.
Legend, yeah.
Went from not being known to having issues with people to knocking one kid out as a freshman, it just paving the rest of my way. And that's right around the same time, because it was that first year of football there that I got the nickname the Sandman playing football.
Okay.
coaches knew who that kid was that I knocked out, and then that name stuck with me to junior college.
Sick.
Yeah, down south, and then it rolled right into fighting a Gladiator Challenge.
So what was the style that James the Sandman Irvin was wearing in high school? Were you jeans and cowboy boots? And,
Cowboy hat.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just the Delaware Classic?
Yep.
Fucking A. That's what I wanted to hear.
So James
It's
has
still
a
pretty much that same way, with the cool kids at least.
James's uniform is developed and unique. He'll have the Muay Thai shorts and the flip flops.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and
It's
then
awesome.
It's a
and then-
comfortable set. It's a
and then the
comfortable.
tactical bag, ready to go.
Yeah.
I can go 8-9 months without putting tennis shoes on. It's great.
Yeah, surf style. Chris, we still good back there? Awesome. But yeah, working with you at UFC gym here has been an amazing experience. And then as a manager, you've been the best manager I've worked for, and I've had some great ones. But yeah, it's just been a real pleasure working with you here. And then the team is thriving.
Having worked at a handful of these gyms, knowing how the model runs, and then being at the bottom of the totem pole, being a fuck up at one of them and getting fired, and then coming back, I was able to kind of pull from different sides of it, you know. And then was able to have some really good mentors, see really good trainers, obviously see terrible trainers. So I can appreciate the group of people we have here. So I'm constantly trying to just keep you guys all here, enjoy as much of it now as I can, because I know this won't go on forever as much as I would like it to. So I can appreciate that the staff that we have here in this beautiful gym.
What's it like seeing the gym grow from what it was 3 years ago to seeing an army from 5:30 to 6:30? I mean, you got anywhere from like 80 to 100 people in those two classes all together. What is it like to
Not a
to
surprise.
see that?
Not a surprise because of him. First day he came here and he agreed that he was going to come on board, I knew it was a wrap after that. He doesn't belong here. He belongs with his own huge gym. But I get the feeling he's been there, done that, and kind of not too wanting to do it again.
Right.
So having him here, though, is the game changer.
It's definitely a blessing, that's for sure. Yeah,
Yes.
we got real lucky.
So you should have seen when me and James met again, because we hadn't seen each other for all those years, and I knew James was over here, but I was out. Like the story I tell all the time, I was out of the business. COVID hit, boom. You know, I was just bringing a fighter here to spar, and then James was here. You know, and he's like, "Well, come on." And then he knew what. Yeah, I mean, he'd seen my programs in the past, so he knew what I was going to do here. And then it was just a perfect match. You know, the accessibility to the local neighborhoods that the UFC gym provides, and then my martial art background and ability to run large groups of different ages, it just worked brilliantly.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can always do more as a team. You know, that's what I learned, you know, having my own gym. I did have my own gym. But yeah, working with a team, you can do so much more. And then, like this coming weekend, I mean, we have 15 fighters, and that's incredible, you know. And then they're real fighters too. A lot of them have 5 fights or more. So yeah, the systems in the gym is amazing and working well. And then to hear where you were and how you came back to, I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. This is the number 1 UFC gym in the country. I mean, I know there's bigger ones, but this is the number 1. I mean, there's the numbers and all that, but it's the heart and soul of the gym, and then how it works out for everyone, from little kids to our Parkinson's program.
Yeah. Yeah. What I don't really know much about that. Is that a newer program that we have? I don't think is that within the last year.
Rocksteady.
Since COVID.
Yeah. Okay.
Since
Rocksteady.
COVID.
Okay. Yeah, that's a cool. I love seeing those videos. I'm never here in the morning to see the Rocksteady class, but the videos that you post are always really cool. It's just cool. This gym, it's like I talk about it all the time. It's like what you would feel. I've belonged to a church. I've felt like the community, the camaraderie, the love, the respect, when you come into the door, it's not a cold, group of people who are kind of just on their own, training regimen or have their own coach doing their own thing. You come in here and there's kids, there's parents, there's a whole group of different people, which it makes it feel inviting. So you can come in at an entry level, but then you come in as a beginner, and then you see the fighting class. You hear the dudes kicking the bags.
But man,
and you get to,
it's a testament to the management. Like I tell him all the time. I mean, he's doing
Well,
just
they
an
wouldn't be here
amazing
without
job.
you guys.
He's steering the ship.
Yeah.
So all the decision making coming down, and like we were talking about, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't even know you. The meeting me and James had to open the door, and yeah. So it's kind of full circle here.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
And even
James.
that wasn't done right away. That took a little bit of time. Remember?
Yeah.
That
Oh,
took a
yeah.
few weeks of me and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
talking.
Well, you had to stick your neck out.
Yeah.
And you believed in the Regan program.
Yeah.
And then, but also, James gave me the freedom to teach my style. And that was part of the original negotiation. You should have seen it. It was like tribe leaders meeting, me and James meeting. And we knew we were going to build an army. And yeah, he was bold enough to believe in it. And then here we are.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty
even
cool.
the podcast. I mean, I would not know you or Chris or these
No,
fighters
none
just
of
won
this
it.
shit would happen.
We just won these titles and all these people fighting. None of that would happen.
The last 6 months has been this like epic steamroll of I mean, with the podcast, all the belts that the teams won,
Sponsors.
so it's been super it's been great.
But Sandman's behind the wheel.
Yeah. So, but okay. So back to you. What I want to hear what it was like in the early days of the UFC. Back you started in 2005. What was it like?
Hold on.
Okay.
Let's rewind just a minute, Jay, if I can.
Sure.
What was the final straw? How come you quit fighting? That was just it?
I got tuned up pretty good in my very last fight. I got tuned up good because I gassed out. So I went out, dominated someone, didn't train hard enough for the fight, and got smashed up pretty good. But it was more my addiction pulling me out of it. It was just time.
You could feel it.
It was time. I think I
Yeah.
was 35, so I had 29 fights. So
Yeah. And then how long was the career? How many years?
10
total?
years.
10, yeah, so the decade in the sport. And then 29 MMA fights. These aren't even boxing or Muay Thai fights, right?
no, all pro
the,
fights.
The little glove fights
All of
and
them.
fighting the killers.
Mm-hmm.
But, we'd like to take a short commercial break. We'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors at the Pink Martini. And when we return, we'll continue with the old tales of the big fights, and we'll see you guys then.
There you go. We'll be back.
We must stop Godzilla before he destroys the city. Oh, what could he want? Unless we find something to appease him, we're doomed!
Hold out, hurry out of the ordinary. Hold out with Dr. Pepper.
So we just took the commercial break
And we're
with
back.
a Pink Martini.
Yeah. Thank you, Kyle. Kyle from the Pink Martini in Rockland, California.
We better get unlimited teenies
Yeah.
over there
Pink
at the
Martini.
Pink Martini.
All right. Okay. All right, and we're back. So, James, I want to go back into the beginning. So, what was it like in your beginning of the UFC career in 2005, just compared to like what we know today?
So let me start how I kind of got into it a little bit too, because I didn't do any martial arts. Like I said, I went down to Ezra's place 30 years ago and didn't have the balls to go back again, and I didn't go back for years.
Mm-hmm.
I tried out for wrestling, I think my junior year, made it a couple practices and went, fucking, these guys are crazy. So I was just all doing football. So I washed out of, didn't have the nuts to do boxing and didn't have the nuts to do wrestling. So I just stayed in football.
Okay.
Played college ball, and then when that ended, I came home and I went with some buddies to Calusa Casino, which at that time, Gladiator Challenge was like the biggest MMA organization. Man, the only ones I could think of in the area. There were no PKBs. There was nothing like that going on. Grappling tournaments, there might have been some down south. But in terms of what was going on in Sacramento, Calusa Casino was the only one. And they only came by like every, I think, 3 or 4 months. And you couldn't look your fighters up at that time. You couldn't find videos of them online. I don't think SureDog Fight Finder was even out yet, so you couldn't even look people up. You had to just take Ted Williams.
Take the
owner
word.
of it. You had
Okay.
to take the word of it. And you wouldn't know who you fought until the day of, till you got there. And I was a
Damn.
heavyweight, so I didn't have weigh-ins the day before.
Whoa.
So I would show up to do that. But let me back up one more right before that, before I got to my first fight.
Okay.
So I went out to Calusa Casino, saw some guys fought, saw the heavyweights that I would compete against, and I thought, these guys are, like, I can compete with these guys. As an athlete, I thought I can go compete with those guys. Went home that same day and got a phone book and looked in it for jiu-jitsu. Because at that time, you know, more so now, people just won't shut the fuck up about jiu-jitsu. Like, it's just the greatest thing ever. And at that time, I was no different, watching UFC with Hoist and all those guys. So I was able to find one jiu-jitsu place. And as you might know, I know you know Wade Vieira.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because he was like a world champion kickboxer.
Yeah, and legend. Sacramento
Legend Sacramento. Yep, you would never know. I didn't know who he was. And it was down off of Greenback. There used to be this big green sign that said Lucky Derby Casino.
Oh, I remember it.
Remember?
I think I've been there.
Okay, probably.
I played blackjack there.
So there is this little 2,000 square foot Taekwondo gym right next door to it. So I'm just got done playing college ball. I'm huge because all I've been doing is lifting, playing college ball. And I pull up to this place. This is no shit. I pull up to this place like I'm going to park right in front so I could look inside the windows to see what's going on. And there's, I know him now, this little skinny dude doing forms. So fucking put it in reverse and took off. Yeah, waited 2 days to come back. This time, like, I still didn't have the courage to go do it. It just seemed so intimidating. Go back 2 days later, I'm like, I'm going to get there early and go sit with the parents.
What'd you think was going to happen?
I know. What the fuck?
All I had known was watching UFC with the fucking Kung Fu magazines with all the experts showing death punches and stuff. I don't know what I had in my head, but it always, and I keep that in mind when I'm running this place, what people, the fear they have when they come in this place, whether
Yeah.
they say it or not.
Right.
So anyways, I sit with the parents. And dumb luck, I get pulled out of it for demonstration, and that literally started my career. If that guy wouldn't have grabbed me out and said, hey, can I use you as a dummy to show this jiu-jitsu move to the class, I probably wouldn't have. I don't know if I would have took off the way it was.
It was just fate.
Changed
It
your
was
life.
just yeah.
Life change.
Life
Yeah.
changer.
Life
That's
change.
crazy.
But at the time, you didn't know, right? So I started doing that religiously, doing jiu-jitsu every day until about 4 months goes by, and some of the guys there fought in Calusa Casino. And they offered me, hey, you want to go do this with us? And I'm like, hell yeah, I want to go do this. Didn't know Wade was a world champion kickboxer. And Wade said, hey, we should work on your striking. Have you ever done it before? And I'm like, yeah, of course. You know, and I go in there, I'm just trying to copy how Vitor Belfort looked. And he tuned me up, and I went in the bathroom in anger tears and cried my eyes out. No shit. Bloody mouthpiece and everything. Went in there and done that. I'm like, okay, I'm not ready for this. And then I think I went back to Nasser's, and you guys were on Douglas. And me and running into you and Eric, but at that time, like I had no fights. I'd got a membership there and was just taking classes. Me and Billy Miles, we were taking classes there and stuff, and that kind of started my career. Waited a few more months, and then Wade got me a fight out there, and I had a couple with him, and then it started changing because other places started opening up. Guys were kind of pulling together, and you'd have to go to like a Neovroni's type to do boxing, and then go to like a Casio Warnick's or Wade's and do jiu-jitsu, and then you'd have to find a buddy that had like a half cage or something in his garage with carpet on the ground to go practice against a cage,
Right.
and you would try and put it together.
It was a weird scene in the 90s.
It was.
It was a weird scene, and you know what? I was just talking about that the other day. The Navarrone's gym in Citrus Heights opened in 1992, and then we were one of the only full contact striking gyms in Sacramento. The only other ones were the boxing gyms, like Oak Park and Washington Neighborhood Center. They were boxing gyms, and then there was only a couple kickboxing places in Sacramento. And yeah, it all kind of cracked off there, but we were one of them. So if you walked into our gym, you saw some hardcore. That's what we saw, because my dad is an old hardcore martial artist, so we were looking for the real deal. And then Nasser and Dennis were that.
Well, in the 10 a.m. classes, remember?
Yeah.
It was 10 a.m.s, right? 10
Yeah.
a.m.s, the pros would still be finishing up, or the pros would be part of it. So I'd be there just taking a class as a member, and then seeing all these savages, with taping their hands up like pro boxers, watching it, putting shoes on, watching pros train. So it was perfect right there, having that opportunity.
Yeah, it was a different era. We were already training a couple years in high school, and we watched the UFC come on pay-per-view. We watched the Ultimate Fighting Championship 1. All the gym homies went over my buddy's house, like 10 of us, to watch the first one. We're like, what's this UFC? Ultimate Fighting Championship. They didn't even call it UFC back then. And then
Yeah, because they had to change the name, right?
we had a sparbecue. So we got there early. We fought each other in the front lawn. And one of my buddies, I remember he got dropped with a spinning back fist.
Oh.
And yeah, we'd all been training about 2-3 years. We were way ahead of our time. We were lucky enough to know in-town guy that was teaching legit kickboxing. So
Yeah.
we had the skills in high school. But then we went inside and watched this UFC, and there was no rounds. There was no weight class.
No time limit.
And Hoist Gracie won the first 3. It was insane. And we were just like, jiu-jitsu, what the hell? We were kickboxers. So we were like, we don't like it. But it was just amazing. It changed the game.
When you started your first fight, did it label you as like you were a kickboxer, or remember how they would say like Tank Abbott was like a brawler, and then Hoist Gracie was a jiu-jitsu guy. And then
I'm sure I put jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And that's all I was going to do in my first couple of fights. I put people on the ground real quick. It took me, I think, 3 or 4 fights working on my boxing, watching that kind of transform, but building up power in my hands and seeing that start to happen in fights. But that wasn't the way it was in the beginning. I put people down quick, try not to get, chip and nail. Because people don't, back then, there was no insurance. I might have made a couple $100s on these fights, and I still had a full-time job as a construction foreman, so I'm swinging a hammer all day long, and then I'm going to do this on the weekend. The thought of coming back with my nose sideways or my jaw broken, was unacceptable. So I didn't play around my first couple of fights. I got them done pretty easily on the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, so you rose to the top, and then they called you up, huh?
Yeah, so I went through Gladiator Challenge. I had a handful of fights there, which is where I came in contact with Uriah. My first fight for a belt with Calusa at Calusa Casino with Gladiator, I think it was my 4th fight, and it was Uriah's first fight. And me and him hit it off, and it was like right after that, him and Scott Smith started cruising around to different places. And it'd be at Marinobles for a while, it'd be at Casio's for a while, but we're the original ones in Sacramento to start kind of bouncing around doing MMA. So I went from there, and then my manager got me a fight into the WEC, which was down in Livermore. And this was before the UFC bottom. It was the biggest show other than UFC. We'd go fight down there, it'd be 7,000-8,000 people. It was huge. So going from Calusa Casino to this place, it was such a huge step up. And on the same card, there'd be all kinds of UFC veterans. So Chael Sonnen would be on the card. There'd always one of the Diaz brothers would be on the card. It was always stacked. Uriah would be on the card. So if we'd go to the UFC and lose a fight and come back, that's usually where we would go.
Okay.
So I was able to go through Gladiator Challenge to WEC, and then I finally got my shot around my maybe 6th, 7th fight to the UFC.
And how did the debut go?
Horrible. Yeah, first time I ever got nuked.
Oh, no.
Yeah, not out cold, but standing. I got hit in the jaw, and I remember falling down. I got hit with a bomb, and I didn't see coming. I remember falling down going, why can't I stop myself? And once I hit the ground, I already knew what had happened. But that fight, luckily, me getting KO'd that way, I changed my coaching and who I started working with afterwards. Because up to that point, it was training partners with my coaches. I might be taking classes at Nasser's or taking class at other places. It was okay, I need a coach. And actually right at that time, Mary Nobles was the first one I think I started working with that was a legitimate world champion coach that, should be teaching other fighters. So I was fortunate enough, me, Uriah, and Scott, and then a handful of other guys all started training at Mary Nobles for a while, and I think we were there for a couple fights. And then I think I might have asked Eric. No, I asked Nasser first, I think. I asked Nasser first. And he was cool about it, but I think he even voiced his opinion to me that he didn't think MMA was going to go very far.
He did.
At the time. He was very straightforward.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate him saying that. But I still ended up back there just because, the level of striking there was very high, and then so was the guys that you guys had inside that gym at all the times.
Crazy to say that, to be the one to say that, and see it now. You're like, oh well.
Well, he's an old school boxing guy and promoter, on the business side. So he's looking at it from that perspective. Also, at the time, the UFC did get banned. They had to restructure the whole thing, and when the new team brought UFC back, no one knew the power of the business team behind the UFC, and now you see the global
There's a lot
global brand that they are. But all that stuff
money.
was happening during these years.
You're right. You're right. I forgot all about that. McCain, right? That
Yeah.
governor, was it? Governor McCain.
Oh yeah.
He pulled it off pay-per-view, so they
Yeah.
lost all their money.
It was too brutal.
Yeah, they called it male cockfighting, human cockfighting. I think they called it.
They had to
Somewhat,
develop. They had to develop the UFC glove.
barbaric.
Remember when they had to? I was gonna bring the glove. You know what? I do this thing where I'll steal the gloves. So when I was working with James, I was just lucky enough to be in a camp and was big enough to hold pads for him, and I used to clinch and spar with him a little bit. But I was in my 20s. Like, I don't even think I was almost 30 maybe, and then we were going to the UFC, so I was just there for the ride, And then
So you'd snatch a
it's,
glove.
yeah, and
That's cool. I mean, they're just laying around.
yeah, they're leaving them laying around. I'm like, boom,
Like,
I'm
dude,
taking
that's a-
those, and then I'm gonna wear these later.
Memorabilia.
But yeah, I have James's gloves, and then I have a bunch of special gloves. Like I have my brother's last professional fight gloves, these red Reyes. I mean, they don't make them like they used to, but I have a lot of my old champions bag gloves that they retired, and I kind of keep them in the Hall of Fame in this glass cabinet in the house. But the UFC gloves, and then it was just an amazing experience, and going to the UFC as a youngster was totally different than what it's been now. Going there now. Well, back then I really wasn't your coach. I was working with you, but now I'm a strategy master. Like, I'm the guy formulating. Like, I'm sure Marinoble and my brother was playing
Eric.
more to you. Yeah,
For sure.
Like, what moves exactly? And that takes a lot of decisiveness. The master coaches that are calling the shots in the UFC, they got to know what they're doing. Me, I was more of a pad holder and a sparring partner, and that was crazy and a real honor to do. Those UFCs were awesome. Denver, I think that's where I stole the gloves.
Well, it looks like Chris has got the
What are we looking at?
the Houston Alexander.
So this is James had the fastest knockout for around a decade with this knockout here, which was a Superman punch, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
There it is.
So James's shaved head here. He's aerodynamic. He's ready for war. Bang! First shot.
Boom.
Down he goes, and knocks him out again. James didn't even get warmed up. He just came out and clipped this guy.
It's
Boom.
how does it feel? I mean, obviously, really good
What's
to
the
get the
follow-up?
knockout, but
Boom.
isn't it crazy to all
Oh.
that work for only 8 seconds?
Sure.
I don't know. It felt like when it was a PKB, but it was 48 seconds.
James, how'd you like that?
On Justin's call, what Justin just said about how fast it went, it seems like that's the way it usually worked out. Whether you want to call it luck or not, it seemed like the harder you trained, luckier things like that kind of happened, right?
But how'd that feel? The
okay.
very first shot that you throw, you just
So,
perfect on the money.
When you see, as soon as I
Play
knock
it
him
again.
out,
Play it again.
hang on, once the fight's over, you see me high five someone that's hanging over the cage. That's his brother. And that's who I was looking for as soon as it happened, because we practiced that for about 4 or 5 weeks, doing that exact same thing.
Whose brother?
Yeah.
Eric.
So we talked about this on the very first podcast at your house. I told this story, but my brother had a premonition. I mean, you guys want to get weird. I'm always getting real weird. But my brother was watching Troy, the movie with Brad Pitt. Right? And he comes out, he does that Superman move with the sword a couple of times. He
No
does
shit.
it-
That was at the same time. The movie came out, and then this.
I think it came out years before, but my brother, that's a movie you watch regularly.
Sure.
you
Yeah.
know?
Especially. Yeah.
But then that night, my brother had a dream about it. So then he asked James to use it as his opening move, and that's what happened.
The Spear of Troy. Just
No lie.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
That's
Sandman.
exactly what it was. No, there's even more detail than that. I'm talking decide from across the cage, put your hand up, and are we gonna touch hands? Make sure I decide which hand I touch. Make sure I circle to the right. Don't circle more than 2 or 3 times and then let it go. That's how nailed down it was.
Wow.
And it made it so much easier because it's sketchy enough having to go fight a fucking dude in the cage, but having a coach that you're confident in that's going to tell you exactly what to do, and then like it just takes that like peace of mind. Like I'm just going to go fire away and do what coach tells me to do. And
Amazing.
it worked out. Yeah, it worked out perfect.
Achilles Troy premonition for the UFC fastest knockout. I mean, unbelievable. And then the follow-up. See, what we saw, we took a closer look, and you can see him falling here. But James knocks his lights out, but then he knocks him out again there. You know, he knocked him out twice in record time.
Yeah, so I could see the ref in the corner of my eye, and I knew that if I just overwhelmed him, the ref was going to jump in.
Man, I was so pissed. I missed this one. I was going to fly out late, and you got me a plane ticket, and that was a big deal. I was like, damn, I get to go to UFC. But you guys were already there. You've been there since like Wednesday.
Yep.
But I had to work at the gym because my brother was there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went, and I missed the flight, and I didn't get to go. So but the after party must have been awesome. What about the jumping knee?
Oh yeah. Who was that against? That's the one that we see every day over there on the wall. Who was that against?
Terry Martin.
There it is. He's wearing the red shorts.
For those of you just listening, we're watching the highlights from James's knockouts. We were watching the Houston Alexander one. This one's the knee to the head against, who is it? Terry Martin.
Sandman, hair here. Bang.
Boom.
Oh, my God.
Jumps up in the air, left knee to the dome. It looks like he's flying off a skateboard, like bailing off the skateboard, but just hits the dude with a full-on left knee.
Yeah, so that was a second round.
He went down for the takedown.
Yeah, he did it for
and
me.
you just timed it perfectly. Almost like Masvidal versus Ben Askren.
Yeah, it was supposed to be my right knee, but he started coming at me and covered the distance a little faster than I was ready.
So
it turned into a left.
So that's why you almost looked off balance, but you
Yeah.
saved it though.
Yeah, it was almost.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah.
Yep.
But these kind of knockouts,
Show that again. Show that
almost-
balance. That balance was just beautiful, though. I mean,
Yeah.
like, look at his the fact that he had to switch it mid.
but also just the daring, the risk, and then these football-like collisions. Boom, just
Dude, out.
ooh, not
know,
easy to do.
Yeah. Yep. No, those are some impressive highlights. That's for sure.
So, James, what was your most memorable fight of your career?
The one in Sacramento, that first UFC they had when I fought Hector Ramirez. And he beat the shit out of me for 1 round, 2 round. I was just getting dominated. And I knew the guy. It was one of the first people I really trained with, so he was kind of a friend of mine. And it was also right at the beginning when they first started giving like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 fight of the night bonuses, knockout of the night bonuses. So, and he was an elite wrestler. So I was not looking forward to it. I knew what he was going to do. And he did just that, took me down, held me down. But I also knew having someone on your back, like they're spending a lot of energy back there, especially if I'm moving around in those scrambles. Like it takes a lot of energy to control someone and keep them welded down. So I knew I was wearing him out. But he beat the shit out of me. I had such a gnarly concussion after that fight. And then I think, man, was it 2 rounds or 3 rounds? Anyways, towards the end of it, I remember even being on the stool thinking like, man, I want out of this. Like, this sucks. I'm all beat up. I had tons of family member there.
Was this at Arco?
At Arco.
I was there.
The
I
first
remember.
UFC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then-
I wasn't working with you yet at that time.
Yeah.
We were there in attendance, though.
And then towards, I think it was the 3rd round, he started slowing down. I was able to catch him with one. But to come back, and you wouldn't know this unless you've actually been through it, but to get your ass handed to you in a fight, and then to go through that and having the thoughts like a lot of guys do, whether they say it or not, wanting out of this fucking fight. whether I'm going to fucking throw in the white towel or like I want out of this because this is not going good. And then to keep pushing through it and to get to win by knockout, that was definitely the most memorable for me.
In front of the hometown.
Family, hometown, first one there. It was awesome.
People lost their mind.
Yeah.
That is a
It
huge
was
win.
awesome. Yeah, gladiator style.
And what round did you knock him out at?
Second or third, I don't remember.
Oh, okay, so just right after getting your ass kicked, you just turned it on and what did you hit him with?
I
Overhand
walked
right?
into a right hand because this was probably the first, I think this was the first camp that I just recently gotten sponsored by Fairtex right around this time, maybe even a couple fights prior to this, and I started utilizing Gunyao, who was one of my Thai coaches at this time, and I'd use him off and on. So throwing the left leg was, we would throw it so much. I was just ready. Just like that's all we did practice was throwing kicks, but especially throwing the switch. So throwing the left leg is like all I wanted to throw.
Mm-hmm.
Arco Arena, rest in peace.
Yep.
We were just there today at a little show.
We had some massive fights there. My brother, Friday Night Fights, ESPN. Honored to fight there.
Yes. I was lucky enough to fight there twice, and they were very
Look at
memorable.
that low leg kick, though. Oh, dang.
And just
Oh,
Sacramento
look at that.
turns up. They used to pack that place, especially for UFC.
Right hand low leg kick, going for that left leg. Keeping the distance.
Sandman always in top condition, you know.
Yeah, look
He's
at
a
those
famous,
lats. Dude.
Yeah,
Those lats are fucking huge.
yeah, look like a bodybuilder,
Jesus.
like a pit bull.
So we're watching this fight versus James versus Hector Martinez.
Ramirez.
Sorry.
So James, when you were fighting, did you feel like you were a fan favorite or more like a villain?
No one had really done that yet until Chael Sonnen came out and started doing it. Like no one was really playing that role. Nick Diaz was that guy, but that's just how he was, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't like playing a character. He was just him being him. No one was really doing that kind of thing, just being a heel.
But I mean around like even in the gyms and stuff, you know, how people perceived you. Did you feel like
See, there's those scrambles you're talking about.
you
right
were
there.
popular with the other fighters and
I don't think I ever had much of a problem with it because I wasn't.
or did you care?
I don't think I worried too much about it. At that time, you know, running with Uriah and Scott Smith, like we were, you know, if I was going to fight anyone in Sacramento, I didn't have to worry too much because I knew they weren't training like we were. They weren't going to the places we were going. So I was more than happy to fight anyone in the Sacramento area at that time. But also, I was never like a real big practice guy. Not that I didn't want to practice. Like I wouldn't have tons of success in practice. There was plenty of guys that just would dominate me all the time wherever I kind of went at different gyms. I was just very fortunate to where things would work out for me when the lights were on me. I'd have these big knockouts and stuff. But if you were to watch me practice, I didn't look that way a lot of times.
You had a reputation. As far as I can remember, a lot of people were scared of you. And you weren't the most talkative athlete. And, you were known for these devastating knockouts. And, I mean, we were friendly, but you didn't even say much. You were always just super military respectful towards us. And, you had this mystique about you, and you still do. I mean, having you as at the front desk as our GM, the members are petrified as they come in. They're all up to date on their membership.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That's for sure. I know it did take it took like about a year. I'd say to kind of crack or get a little bit out of you but yeah, certainly I'd walk in and I was just like, hey James, I'd be like, what's up?
I'm sure you knew that though.
But you got to keep it like that, you know. You got
But you know what? When someone gets, I seen it happen with my brother. You know, when someone reaches a popularity level and you're in the spotlight like that, you get a lot of attention, and not all of it's good. You know, and then the fighter is a tough situation because these guys, it's not a popularity contest, especially in the older generation. Now, some guys are making a career out of popularity. You know, and being a second-rate fighter, but they're really good at all the other stuff. Back in the older era, they didn't even have any of that stuff. You just had to be a great fighter.
yeah.
you
Now
know?
people on spending a whole lot of time filming themselves and
No,
getting
just like-
this social media stuff. And
Yeah.
but it helps. I mean, it helps get the sponsors.
Yeah.
And it helps give show the promoters who they're working with.
Yeah. But even in passing in the gym, the small talk and stuff, some guys don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
They're not trying to be everyone's friend. They're in there to work, and yeah.
Yeah, this is a
had that.
place to work. It's not.
James has that.
It's kind of annoying when people just want to talk. They use this place as a more of a social place.
Super.
And there's a time and a place here to be social. We're not like antisocial.
Yeah.
But when you're working and somebody wants to come over and like, hey, how you doing? When's your fight? Blah blah blah. And you're like, man, it's on the wall. You follow me. You see my stuff. It's like it's not the time and the place to ask people that kind of stuff when they're hitting the bag.
Yeah. I talk a lot, but I'm coaching.
Yeah.
I always liked
You're-
when I was a trainer.
You're preaching.
Yeah.
You're preaching.
fucking
You're
firing the
teaching
troops.
the community.
Yeah, I'm explaining things a little too deeply. But when we trained, there was no talking. The soldiers are soldiering.
Mm-hmm.
The coaches yelling the orders, and that was just I like that. Like all the trips I was making to Thailand, and just could be the boxing student again. I enjoyed not talking, and there's no use in talking. Those trainers won't even talk back to you.
Yeah, they don't even know.
They're like, I know that trick. Don't try to talk to me.
You got it.
Get to
Yeah.
work.
I had
you know?
Gunya tell me to shut up one day. You talk too much. Shut up.
Yes.
Have you been to Thailand?
Oh, a few times. Yeah.
Okay. Did you train there, or did you just go on vacation?
No, I trained there all of the times except my last time. The last time when I went there, I was like, I can't have been there this many times and not like gone to Bangkok and checked some of the stuff out. For the most part, I'd go there and it was just to get away and just to go train. Because every time I'd come back, like you'd be in very good shape. I mean, that's all you do, right? You
Yeah.
eat super clean. There's nothing there but to train twice a day, and then there's a weight room in there. The place I would go to, the Fairtex gym, when there had two of them, but one's in Bang Pli, I think it is Bang Pli, in the middle of fucking nowhere, like wild dogs running around down a dirt road.
Still
And
very popular.
It was awesome.
Yeah, good place for Muay Thai.
Phone barely works there.
Yeah.
You get Wi-Fi,
Love
but like
that.
all you would do is train.
Yeah, Bang Pli Stadium.
Yep.
Still big for yeah.
How long
but,
ago was that? The last time you went?
Oh, been a while.
But James was James he was one of the Fairtex sponsored athletes, which was awesome and rare, and he used to hook me up with free pads, so that was cool.
Super lucky at that time.
And then
Fortunate.
they were sponsoring the trips out there, right?
Paid for all of them. Yeah.
Can we get that? Yeah, I mean, I got some guy.
Pay for the flight, pay for the room and
That's
board,
cool.
pay for all of it.
Yeah, we'll send the
Yeah, I
camera
would-
crew out.
Hell
Chris,
yeah.
Chris Media Apex, pack
Yep.
it up. Yeah.
If the jet lag wasn't so bad, I probably would have went there more often.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to start doing it like away from fight camps, because anything more than like 10, 12 days out there, you're going to come back and get hammered with jet lag,
Mm-hmm.
And I'd come back and it'd take me a week to get back on a sleeping pattern while I'm trying to get into a training camp, and it would derail, cause more problems than having good things come out of it.
Yeah.
So, what was your? How do you rate Thailand? How'd you like it?
Overrated. I find it overrated because because of the coaches I've had here, because of having worked with you and your brother, having Marin Nobles and having Gunyao. I didn't go out there and come back with a bag full of like new tricks. I would come back with the same things I had, but one of them would just be so sharp because I threw it 20,000 times in the course of 10 days. And my cardio would come back. I've trained in Big Bear at high altitude. That didn't bug me that much. But Thailand with the humidity was way worse trying to breathe in that humid, especially if you went there. Let's see, their summers are winter. So vice versa, when it's real humid there in the year, it'd just be gnarly trying to get your lungs to open up. But other than saying, like, I've been to Thailand, right? Like, if you're a real Thai practitioner, you kind of got to go there.
Yeah.
You kind of go check out Lumpini. You got to go see some of these places firsthand, right?
Absolutely.
I think so, anyways.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Do you have
Yeah.
any? Do you have any? Did you get any tattoos while there?
I
Any,
did. I got a few of
Some
them.
Thai tattoos.
I got a couple of them. They're terrible at tattooing.
Oh, really?
Terrible.
So just
they
get,
Buddhist
get your
tattoos?
Thai tattoos here in America.
So I wanted to go get them done at a temple, and I was going to. I had planned. There was 1 or 2 temples I was going to go to, and then I was told, and I verified this, that the ink they would use would be one big bowl. and all the different tattoo guys. Yeah. So when I told that, I was
that
like,
might be true.
And I had, it probably is true. I'm sure it's true.
Depends.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I haven't been tattooed out there. But yeah, it's
Great organisms.
it's always interesting to hear people speak on Thailand, because now in the generation, it's the great, everyone's having the great experience, and sometimes I say things that isn't the best. You can get similar training or a better experience here at home. So to hear someone speak honestly on it's always good. Also, Thailand's just so different for everyone. Every gym that you go to, and you could have a great experience, and then you could have a really generic commercial one. That's what I learned.
And I'm not saying anything bad.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it as, am I going to come back with a better skill set or
Yeah.
something for the investment of going all the way out there, right? And that's not what I'm saying at all. In terms of the people there are amazing.
Right.
One of the safest places I've ever felt, even though everything's there just so chaotic. Like, it doesn't make sense. They take such good care of foreigners over there. People are so nice, so respectful. The coaches were outstanding. But in terms of I was fortunate because the coaches I had here, it just wasn't,
Yeah.
It wasn't a complete it wasn't necessary.
It wasn't
in
like
your
going to
training.
Holland and having Boss Rudin be the coach there or something,
Yeah. For us, the Thailand experience was always amazing. But we got taken care of specially, and then we took the time to go up into rural Thailand, so it was a different experience, and was lucky enough to get put with the trainer that was going to take that detailed care, like world-class training. And yeah, I think the isolation and being around the fight culture 100% of the time, that's some of the best stuff you get from Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Being in a real troop, being in a real camp of fighters that are fighting every week, and no messing around with it, and being around it really regularly. Here you might only see a fight every 6 months. Where there, it's every week, and that's inspiring. You come back with that, and it makes you a stronger fighter. You come back to your home camp, and it makes you appreciate what you have at home more, and you bring back the violence.
Mm-hmm.
So my rounds there, the work I did there, and I'm remembering this stuff because I haven't thought about a lot of it for quite a while. Every time I'd go there, my first practice, wrapped up, jumping rope, getting ready, my trainer, whoever it would be, would come out there with a phone, and it'd be fucking Gunyao on the phone with them from San Francisco, telling them what I had to work on. So I didn't do one rounds, I do double rounds. All my rounds were fucking double rounds. Beginning and ending the rounds, usually it's 10 right, 10 left, and you start and end. Mine were 20s, so I got a different treatment when I was there. So that might have had something to do with it too.
Yes, you're getting the premium.
Yeah.
Your Thai coach from San Francisco was talking to your Thai trainer.
Well, his last name is Fairtex.
Yeah, all gang.
He's all, listen here.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
the coach. You're going to do what I tell you to do, even if you're in Thailand. That's pretty cool.
But
There's a lot of people who go over to Thailand and go fight, even in the amateurs over here, and then come over and.
yeah, so we were talking about that.
The guy I'm
we
fighting
talk about it regularly.
this weekend.
We talk about it regularly.
Yeah.
Where if you go to Thailand and you fight Muay Thai, does that make you a pro? When you come back to America, can you still be eligible to fight as an amateur in Muay Thai? And you're seeing a lot of things now where people are fighting in the stadiums in Thailand, but then they'll come back and fight amateur. So what makes someone a professional?
When going to Thailand, or just in general,
Well,
or like
there's people that, once you started fighting no pads in the stadiums in Thailand, you were pro. You didn't try to come back and fight as an amateur in America. Also, you would get in trouble. I mean, that would be a big problem if you didn't disclose to whatever sanctioning body you're fighting for here in Arizona or in California or Nevada. If you're not transparent and you don't show that you've had these 5-round no pad fights in Thailand, is that still okay? And it's a complex thing. I'm kind of Muay Thai politics nerd. This is a pretty in-depth thing, but
Yeah, I think as long as you're being straightforward with it, and like we've talked about, the opponents know, the coaches know, the promoter knows, and you're
Yes.
not trying to hide it. I think it just it's kind of like the argument of like, does a PKB, should that be on your amateur record? Some states it's on your record, some states it's not. But I mean, all in all, besides the fact that being able to be stopped by the referee, I mean, man, I've had some pretty damn good fights on the PKBs before.
So in Thailand, up until recently, there has been no amateur Muay Thai unless it's like a national event, IFMA or something like that. They don't have padded fights. So there's many levels to Muay Thai in Thailand. And then basically the amateurs here are saying that they're not fighting at the high level fights and they're not making money, so they should still be eligible to fight amateur here. And I agree with that. I think as long as there's transparency and the other team knows you're not concealing anything, and then the other team gets to make, in the sanctioning body, gets to make their decision if that's going to be okay. And like we talked about, our A-class amateurs are our pros. So they're just not turning pro, but they're fighting without pads and in pro Muay Thai. So I think that's the key, is the transparency, because you can fight in a bar in Thailand with no pads. Against a taxi driver, does that make you pro?
Yeah, no, I don't think you should be penalized for having a good time on vacation and going to, if you want to go train for a few weeks and get a fight in, it's one thing if you're at the level where you're in the stadiums, but if you're just taking like an amateur fight, but in Thailand, their rules are no headgear, no elbow pads, no pads.
Even the kids. Yeah.
I mean, if that's the rules and you want to go do it, I don't think you should be penalized for that.
So, for example, your next opponent has fought in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
And you're fighting what? You're fighting next Saturday.
Yep.
Making a comeback.
Yeah. It's been almost a year since my last fight. In August, I fought Allen, and then I don't know, just shortly after that, I fought
Edmund.
With Edmund.
Yeah.
Was it August and then September.
So I agreed to take the fight
about a year ago.
Your guy's a good athlete. Guy's been training a similar amount of time, similar amount of fights. But one of his fights, he knee KO'd some Thai in Thailand.
Yeah,
But
he sweep TKO'd him, but I mean after he kneed the shit out of him up against the ropes. But
so we, talking to the promoter, I'm like, wait, so this guy's fought in Thailand? I see the video on his gym's Instagram. We do a little recon and see what the guy looks like. And, But, they were transparent. I know the coach personally and gave me a little bit of background, so we agreed to it. And, there is no amateur. He was just ballsy enough to go over there and take a fight. Mm-hmm. It's how many years he's been training and how many fights he has, So I agreed to put you in it.
Yep.
But training camp's going good, huh? You ready?
Yeah, training camp's going real good. It was a little bit of a slow start. I definitely, like you've talked about, the peaks and valleys. I took a little time off. Not like I was completely absent, but I wasn't training like I was ready for a fight. I was kind of, just doing all the life stuff like I've talked before, and getting shit done. And then I started getting the itch, and I think you saw that, and then there was a good amount of fights coming up that were worth putting my name in the bucket for. And
it's a forest fire right now with fights, and
it's
you felt like
addicting.
you were missing out, huh?
Yeah,
I'm glad you're back in the game.
Everybody went to Arizona, and I was like,
I'm glad your window's still open.
Yeah.
and you put in the work.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you get to play the game, which is such an honor. Really, to share the ring and do the Muay Thai style. And then, man, what's happening in NorCal Muay Thai, I haven't seen it any hotter. Like, it's so really, really cool what's happening. The athletes and the culture and we're big players in it. So
yeah, Sacramento's got a lot going on. Rising Stars, and then you got, the Bay Area promotions, Legends, and then
the region.
So.
There was guys up in Canada, Toronto, San Diego, Texas, Arizona. They have San Francisco. I mean, the whole West Coast. It's just going nuts.
When are we gonna be able to do another PKB here?
Nah.
That was fun.
Well, they just did one. They just did
Oh,
one.
the Folsoms ones. Yeah.
What was that yesterday?
Yeah.
I got canceled.
But yeah, they've been doing them. They've been doing them in Folsom. But everything's hot. Everyone wants to kickbox. You know. And yeah, I'm glad you're in. And then we have Berto. Berto is just rolling. But we took a
He looks
state.
great.
We took the state heavyweight title, IKF state heavyweight title fight in 2 weeks' notice. And Ryan called me with the opportunity. Someone fell out. And Berto's ready because he's just ready to take a call, and he's putting in work full time. So I had no hesitation in taking that. So he'll be fighting the main event, you on the undercard. And then we have 15 total, and that's going to be exciting. It's like a damn soccer team.
Yeah, I think it's another huge showing for the teenagers, which is always fun to watch those kids get prepared and get their minds ready. And
They're competitors, man.
Yeah.
I just loving watching them. They're just little savages.
James is getting all of our highlight reels. And how the social media? You went through a couple of handles. You went through some learning curves, and then all of a sudden, somewhere along the lines, you started hitting this groove where you were posting regularly, which seemed to be a good thing to get the likes and the comments and the traction. But yeah, what was the turn there? Did you take a fucking class, or did you read,
It was
read up
incredible.
some stuff? Because it definitely
The skill level went off the charts.
Well, Chris helped me a ton.
okay.
He helped me a lot, especially in the very beginning. Like I was ignorant to most of it. I don't even have any social media. I don't have my own page. I never have. So this was totally new, me getting onto it. Honestly, God, people are just such shitbags on social media. Kind of wish I wasn't part of it, but it's such a tool here for people outside getting to look inside the gym that are never going to come here, or maybe thinking about it and maybe too intimidating because they see UFC on the wall. So that's how I looked at it, was that story I told you about, me pulling up to that Taekwondo gym and pulling away. I keep that in mind. You know, like this is the easiest way I can get a couple thousand people to see something that's happening inside of our gym. And then once you start seeing kind of what direction the likes are going and which videos are getting more views. And this gym's different because I run it so much different than the other UFC gyms, because the other ones are like family and family this and blah, blah, blah. Showing you guys, showing like the Thai guys, showing the edgier stuff, the darker stuff gets so much more attention here in this gym.
I bet.
Which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, it's more of that like real UFC gym instead of just the family, classes, booty boot camps and stuff you see at the other ones. So is our gym kind of? There's a lot of these UFC gyms, but do you know how the fight teams are at any of the other ones? Is this kind of
There's a
an
couple.
anomaly, or
This one is an anomaly. You can't come in here and get used to this one and think they're all like this, because they're not. Most of them are definitely going to be more family fitness, and that's actually the way they're driven. It's fitness first, and like a lot of times, like they won't even, I'm not going to say who, but they won't even discuss the martial arts side or component of these gyms. It's just fitness, 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 and it's literally the opposite here. Especially because we're next door to Crunch. We just double down on martial arts here. So this one is very different. There's one or two other ones, but there's none that have a team like this. I mean, they all have jiu-jitsu, but there aren't, not that I know of, that have a Thai team like this one.
The things we've been doing in Muay Thai, it's some of the best stuff from the clubs, like when you look at the different gyms, and then to have it coming out of a MMA gym is very unique. A lot of the gyms that are doing the stuff that we're doing in Muay Thai come from strictly Muay Thai gyms. And that makes it special, and that's just a testament to our teamwork and how healthy the culture is at the gym.
yeah,
Those belts, we've been racking up title belts. We organized to go to the nationals, and then we've been having some regional opportunities. And then those are special. There's coaches that never produce a fighter that fights an amateur fight inside a Muay Thai ring. And then, these guys are bringing back title belts. That's something else. There's guys that train their whole career and they never win an amateur title. These guys are just racking it up and kind of making it look easy. But we're carrying 30 years of momentum. Also, we have a just an amazing team here with coaches, front end staff, facility, and Rockland just loves, like you said, they love the real martial arts and combat stuff. And man, I was talking about that. That's coming back around again. Martial arts, normalizing martial art training, especially for our youth, and what benefits that it has. And the new generation with the cell phone and the technology, there's a lot of mental health issues that are happening with the youth. And martial arts is a direct supplement to use against that. And we're doing that here. You know, we got great parents. We have an amazing team. And it's our high school team. Our high school team is just a group of excellent young athletes. Not just good stamina and strength, but very polite, great sportsmen. So we're very proud to be representing that in the community. Real martial arts.
Yeah, it's well said. The kids are committed. They're on their summer vacation right now. They've been running. They're coming to class, and
they're coming with us. And look at when they come in. You got me and James at the front, you know, and then all those guys are getting used to us. Normalize us as your mentors.
Correct.
You know? We're gonna make you hold the line. We're gonna hold you accountable.
Well said again.
Uncle James, Uncle Justin, and yeah, think of that as a young man, what that can do, and we're seeing that. You know, you got kids lacking confidence; they don't want to go out of the house, they can't go to public school or whatever. They you know, bring them in here. You know, we're gonna build them up. You know, we're gonna show them that they're worth something, and you need that. You know, you need that in life. You got to leave the house.
Yep, it's a great place to be when you're wondering how to stand up to that bully.
Yeah, it's just normal. Again, for my generation and James, yours, that this stuff was normal. But a lot of this stuff has been lost, and parents are looking to remedy these problems. And that's what you see here. And then, yeah, the social media, awesome. I love it. Man, it's so good that I don't have to advertise and be like, come take my class. I go to Rayleigh's in Loomis, and people are like, I know you. I seen you on the UFC ad. You work at UFC, and it's because of the consistency and the teamwork. And man, it always comes off better too when you're not trying to sell your own self on Instagram all the time, because that's what everyone's trying to do.
Yeah,
buy my stuff.
Yeah.
Buy my stuff. You know, I just get to be me and show martial arts and sports stuff. And yeah, it's a great combination.
So, kind of on that note of back to you going to a gym but then backing out, when did you find yourself with confidence enough to get into the gym? Like, what, I know you might have gone over it, but so I guess where I'm going with this is, like, a lot of people don't know that they have this confidence in them until they actually step foot into the gym or climb the wall or jump off the cliff into the water. And like, what was that barrier? You obviously haven't always been this hard ass guy, or else you would have walked into those gyms, you know, with no hesitation. For those people who don't have that confidence level but might think that they are that guy, what's that like barrier that you crossed to get in here? Or was it just getting choked out for the first time and falling in love with it that got you to stay in there?
I can't think of a moment or a time, and I don't know if it ever really changed in terms of how I feel like walking out to octagon, or, you know, having to look across the ring and get ready to go. And that's scary regardless. You know, and granted, the more you train, the less scary it is, but I don't care what you say. Like, that's some sketchy shit, having to fight someone when there's very few rules in a cage fight.
Sure.
But you know what really helped me a lot was, and I hadn't heard anyone say this, I listened to, and this is in the middle of my career, I heard Nick Diaz do an interview, and him say that every time he's in the cage and they're getting ready to start the fight and he's looking across the cage, in his head he's telling himself, I need a new fucking job. Or walking out going like, this is insane. What am I doing? I've heard him say that, and like, I went, you've got to, of all people. Because that time,
Sure.
like, he was the original boogeyman.
Right.
Like, no one wanted to deal with that guy. He was a bad dude.
Yeah, they're crazy. Crazy
so
family.
to hear him say it definitely helped me a lot. But I can't really think of a time like when it actually just changed.
So it's
other
like
than
accepting the reality.
Probably more of it that way.
Yeah.
But then you start to figure out, like, and it seems common sense, but, like, it really starts to come together when, like, the harder you train, like I said, like, the luckier things that tend to happen for you.
Yeah, and you feel more confident going in. Like, you feel more ready. It's like getting ready for anything, a test, a speech in front of people. You know, if you're not going to prepare yourself, if you're not going to practice, you're definitely going to feel unprepared going into something as crazy as a fight. You know, I mean, like, to just voluntarily walk into a ring and throw punches at each other, knees and elbows, and then MMA, it's like, you know, there's just even less rules. So that's it, yeah.
What a rush.
It's an addicting rush. That's why I couldn't stay out of it.
Now, Jay, I heard you become famous.
I am. I'm famous. I'm famous on TikTok.
Yeah, what, you were. What happened?
For my salt sniffing.
You hit the smelling salts, and it froze your brain.
Dude, it was the most. It was the most. So I watch a lot of podcasts. I obviously, you know, I'm a Joe Rogan fan, and they always have the Juju Mufu smelling salts on there, and he'll just hand it off to somebody who doesn't know what they are. It'll be like, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson or Theo Vaughn loves the shit. So I saw it over there. It just popped up on the table randomly, and you know, my mischievous mind, I'm like, oh dude, there it is. Let me go try that stuff. I gotta know what it's like. So I had tell Berto, film this because I'm likely gonna have a reaction to it. And so I shake the thing up, and it's kicking the dick. So kicking the dick. And I'm like all acting tough and stuff and I just stick my nose way too deep into it and get a big whiff, and it just destroys me. It wasn't pleasurable at all. But yeah,
it looked like you're having a seizure. Like, we weren't sure if we should laugh.
Bring it up.
Yeah. I mean, it was. You see the reaction,
but
and
1.4 million views.
A lot of people can relate.
What the hell? Why? Like, how?
Also, they just loved watching you have a little seizure.
Yeah.
You know, and then a lot of people that have sniffed this stuff know, like, all it takes is a little tiny touch of it. James, you use this stuff?
Well, as soon as he took his nose to it, his reaction, and then seeing his face, I knew he wasn't playing. Like, I knew he was serious.
Yeah.
It was authentic, which is why he got 1 million views and it went viral.
Yeah.
The comment section is
there it is.
It doesn't disappoint
I think it probably would be
at
good
all.
for a beginner.
The comment section on TikTok, they're both funny, but the TikTok ones are
Oh man, it's like you got electrocuted.
It went to in my entire skull.
We need slow mo.
My entire skull.
Slow mo.
When I grabbed my
He shook
jaw,
like 30
though,
times like a pit bull or like an alligator. He shook like a bass. He hit hard on the base.
Okay, so James, I don't know if I
you
don't
went
know if
way
you
too
saw
close,
any of
bro.
these comments, but the comments about Art touching me so much are the best. Who's the guy? Why is he so handsy? Why is he touching Justin?
He went into full. Art went into full corner man mode. A lot of people don't know Art's our cut man, so he was gonna clear Justin's sinuses if possible or if needed.
He was gonna do anything it took.
But yeah, pretty funny.
But one of the cool parts, so yeah, part 2. If you go to part 2, unfortunately, it like didn't catch the whole thing, but mid just sinus volcano, Berto tosses Art the water bottle, and it's like where James's head is, and I'm like just grabbing my face. I'm like, oh shit, and I just boom grab that thing right out of the air. It's like
Emergency.
yeah, dude, it was yeah,
Fun times.
Actually got 2 Justins.
Yeah.
there's 2 Justins.
With the salt.
Oh, there's another Justin with the
yeah.
salt. Oh, this is the old
Justin
Justin.
Wall.
Justin
Who
Wall.
recorded this?
Oh, he got hit with it as well. Look, he's ready now. Hold on.
He grabs his head
2
too.
plates. Let's get it.
Well, I gotta hit this before the sprints, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you this in the locker room. Is this legal? I'm gonna have them hit this in the locker room before they come out. I usually slap them around.
I was gonna say, I don't know. I think I'd rather just get slapped.
Yeah. You see me do that to Berto?
rough.
Remember in Tahoe?
Oh, that was
Like,
so
"Art,
funny
Fucking wake up.
because he was
somewhere else.
so nervous. He
Remember
was
that?
so nervous that
Yeah.
whole fight, the whole lead up to it. And I was in just like terror mode. I'm like feeling so good, and I'm like, Berto, let's go for a run. This is fight day, right? A few hours before the fight. And I'm like, Berto, come on, let's go for a fucking run. I'm like, what are we doing? Just sitting around here waiting to go to war. Let's go. And he's like, a run? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. Come on, let's go loosen the legs up. He's like, nah, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm like, fuck, God. So I go tear off, and then when we're back and he's getting ready, coach is like, getting them all oiled up, and the look on his face is like petrification, as if he's like saw the basilisk from Harry Potter.
Like he was at his funeral.
And you just smack him a few times. I think I got that on film.
Yeah, that's one of my.
It was hilarious. He was
as I become an older trainer, that's one of my talents is I'm able to read people really well, and I bring them to the line ready for war. I have a way of preparing my boxers so that they're ready for the pain, they're ready for the fight, and then I'm able to read our opponents as well. So yeah, Berto was kind of somewhere, and I just had to prepare him for that. And that was a big room, walking into that room, but we walked in like champions.
That place was so cool.
That was the arena.
It was such a great venue to fight at,
But
especially debut.
So tell me, what is this? I know I see both of you guys chewing, but it's not chew. It's Zyn. What the hell is this stuff?
It's nicotine salt. I really don't.
Is that
Probably
it?
synthetic. It's just synthetic nicotine.
So
Yeah.
it's like a vape for chewing.
That sounds
Probably sounds
terrible.
worse.
It doesn't
Putting
have the
it that way.
tobacco.
Correct.
No tobacco.
Correct.
Just
No tobacco, just
the
nicotine.
synthetic.
You
Yeah,
got
just
it.
synthetic nicotine with a powdered salt that dissolves in your mouth.
And you guys like it? It's
Yeah.
giving you a buzz, like a chew.
I can't be walking around with skull hanging out of my lip all day long. Like, that's totally unprofessional, right?
Do you still chew?
Very rarely. I usually use this stuff now.
I chewed for 20 years.
Yeah.
Copenhagen. I lived in Texas when I was a boy, and they used to just hand it out. And we couldn't smoke because we were athletes, so we used to chew. And I did it until I was damn near 30 years old.
Yeah, it's a nice. I mean,
So
if you like nicotine,
how do you open? Let me try.
Yeah, just
What do you do?
Pop it open.
Just
You
like a chew?
Yeah, just like a chew can.
Wait a minute.
Oh damn! See, he is a veteran.
Hold on.
You're from Sacramento.
You got to pack it like Copenhagen. You got to know how to pinch it. So what do? I put it in my mouth.
Yeah, just stick it in there like a little pillow, like you're going to bed.
Just one, or do you double and triple?
I like to double it up after that one gets a little. If you double it up right away, the 6 milligrams definitely kicks you in the dick.
But
Well-
like it used to be about how it fit in the lip. Like when we used to chew,
That's the
it was
one
all
thing
strong, but it had to fit right.
That's the downside on these. I don't know about you, but I like the thicker pouches. These ones just like I like to double it up, and then it gives you more of that like effect of having a nice chew in your lip. But these ones, nothing compares to Zyn though.
I'm feeling better already. I'll tell you what.
If you have an empty stomach though, you hiccup.
Yeah. But you guys been to the movies? I went and seen
Yeah, I saw one
The Bike Riders
yesterday.
Oh yeah, I seen that.
Yeah, it
you and your lady.
sucked.
I seen
She
your lady
fell
sleeping.
asleep, and I woke her up and was like, "If you're sleeping, let's go because this movie sucks."
But
The
I went
the
and
moon
seen.
landing one, the moon landing one.
How'd you rate it?
It was just terrible dialogue. Scarlett Johansson was just acting smart, like, and then fucking Channing Tatum was like,
So,
just
so
looking dumb.
I shouldn't go see it.
No, don't. No, definitely
In the
wait.
movies
Definitely
for-
wait until it comes out. It's not worth seeing in the movies. But
So me and the wife, we went and seen Tom Hardy's new one. I'm a big Tom Hardy fan, and he came out with The Bike Riders, which is about the vandals from Chicago, I believe, in like a 50s greaser, one of the original American biker gangs.
just watched that today.
Did you guys, James, you see it?
Yeah, I watched it today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
In the movies?
No, on Look Movie.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's good.
It was interesting, and you know what? It reminded yeah.
It's about the old outlaw. I mean, loosely about the outlaws in Chicago.
Yeah, the original culture, you can see how a lot of guys found their place in it. And you can see how, I mean, obviously these days it's super trendy and they're playing to that audience with the style and the whole culture of it. You know, you got biker gangs all over, even in Japan, you got American biker gangs.
I love how
Yeah.
the guy in the beginning, when he's talking, with the main characters talking to his motorcycle friend when they're racing dirt bikes, and he's all, I think I want to start a motorcycle club, and the guy's like, why the fuck do you want to why do you start a motorcycle club? You already riding motorcycles. You just want to go around and sit in a house and talk about motorcycles? And he's like, well, we already talk about motorcycles. And so yeah, but we race them. We do something. And I don't know if you guys know much about biker clubs, but that's all they do. They just fucking sit around. I mean, there are, a select few who go out and go have some fun, but for the most part, what I saw, it's
The meetups.
it's meetups. It's
Yeah.
meetup from one spot to the next, their clubhouse to my party to this, and it's like you don't. There's no long range travel. There's no. I glorified like this kind of stuff. You put your a tent or a sleeping bag on your bike, and you just go take off somewhere, and you're gone for however long you want.
Now, to me, unfortunately, I've lived some of this stuff. I was never in a biker gang, but being from Northern California, I've had buddies, and you see the culture around you. But for me, this was always kind of like what we do. With boxing clubs, it's kind of like a men's gang or group. And we have our groups, and there's other groups as well. And I always thought that Tom Hardy was a great gang leader.
Did he play this role in anything else?
He almost plays the same role as he did in that Moonshiners movie. Did
Yeah.
you guys see Lawless?
Yeah, that was a great movie.
And Lawless. And you know what? In that movie, he reminds me of James. Because
Yeah?
he doesn't really talk very much. He's got it all under control. Yeah, and then he has to smash a couple people, I remember. And then he knows the cops, but the cops are kind of afraid of him. It's like when the local PD stops here.
Yeah.
He's James knows all those guys.
Like when they were burning down that bar and the firefighters were just watching. He's
Yeah.
like, dude, we got to go. And they turn around and they're all there watching.
Yeah. But
didn't
decent
wanna do
movie.
anything.
I gave it a little better rating than the one you saw.
Yeah, I thought The Bike Riders was great. That's definitely worth seeing. Good storyline, a little historical, good acting. Had that definitely East Coast, Midwest.
But you know what? I always go back into these classics. And last night I watched No Country for Old Men. Have you guys seen this movie?
Yeah, that's the one when the dude hits him with the
cattle prod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
And,
It was a while ago. I wasn't really into it back then. I think it was too much dialogue for me.
but my wife pointed out there's no music. There's no music in this movie. And every scene, I swear, every scene in this movie is a masterpiece. The dialogue and the characters in the movie. And it has so many classic Western things. And I was thinking, I said, in the last 20 years, what's a better Western than this? What are the best? What are the top Western flicks? And I even put it on my Instagram. And
Yellowstone.
this Yellowstone, but that's like a series.
Yeah.
This is an amazing movie.
What about the new one with Kevin Costner?
That one was pretty
have
good.
you guys seen
You
that?
seen that?
Horizon was pretty good.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
That's what I wish
It's not
we
as
would
good
have
as
gone.
this.
This is a
But
different
that's setting
level.
the bar pretty high.
Yeah, even
Okay.
this scene with the cartel and him coming across this drug exchange gone bad, and just classic stuff, man.
I got to rewatch this. This looks
Yeah.
good. I don't know where I was. I think I was probably like 15, 16 when this came out.
There's this throughout the movie. There's this funny thing with clothes. Like he gets shot and he's trying to cross the border, and he buys that jacket off those college kids for $500. Remember, he's bleeding and he's got to get past the border patrol to get to the Mexican hospital. And there's weird little stuff like that throughout the movie. He has to go into that Western clothing store like 2 times to get new clothes. It's just a funny thing. Like if you watch it, notice that the clothes are like part of the movie.
Okay.
And then the injuries.
Who's that? The screenplay writer that does stuff? Is that the screenplay writer, Chris?
Well, this comes from a book.
When you're like the wardrobes and the look of it, is that the screenplay writer?
Well, it's part of the story, though.
Oh, okay.
But the clothes are part of the story.
Yeah.
Even like at the very end, the bounty hunter gets in a car accident and he gets a compound fracture and he buys a shirt off 2 kids riding down the street on their bikes. He buys a shirt for $100 to make a sling out of, and there's just all these funny things, and you got to watch it again to notice it. But it's cool. Also the injuries. They're always injured and bleeding in this movie, and they're doing their own medical. But yeah, very entertaining. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend. I mean, this is one of the top, for me, it's got to be in the top 5 Westerns of all time.
Ezra, you'll like Horizon.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, you'll like that one.
And that's Costner?
Yep.
Kevin Costner?
Well, and there's like
great.
4 parts to it, from what I understand. So the first episode, it's like a first episode, is 3 hours long. I think the other one comes out in August sometimes, and they're spread out. But it's kind of like an older Clint Eastwood movie.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
All
Yeah,
right.
Like Pale Rider, one of those.
Those are the tops.
You got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
this looked good though.
But one of my favorite movies is this. Here
Look
it
at that
is.
backdrop, man, dude. Arizona's. I don't know. What is that? Arizona?
That was the Grand Canyon look like.
Yeah, Utah, Arizona. God, I love that place. Hopefully one day I'll be.
I'm just
resting my head
super
there.
interested in this era of America.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That when you go back, when you go over to like those canyon lands, you can see why this is where the outlaws hid, because
No, just like
I
when
mean,
we go,
there's nowhere to find these guys.
Sutter's Fort here in Sacramento, but like when I go up to Tahoe and Donner, I'm in those historical sites. I'm reading about what was going on, the gold miners, 1849ers. That's right here.
The Chinese history
Yeah.
of building all the railroads. Have you been to the Railroad Museum in Sacramento?
No,
Highly recommend
yeah.
that.
But I used to have a gym on Vernon Street right next to the yard.
Yeah, it's the Railroad Museum in Old Sacramento. I've taken Leo there like 4 times, and I still like to go to. I still want to go back to it and keep reading all the stuff. He drags me. He's like, "Come on, Dad, let's go." I'm like reading all the plaques.
How come I pop a chew in and then we start watching Western? I think I have an accent. But yeah, one of my
It's just an
favorite
American thing, man.
One of my favorite Westerns is Dances with Wolves. And this is him, right? Dances with Wolves.
Yep.
That's another one I love, and it's just an epic, right, with the Civil War and all that. But yeah, I'm gonna go see this. But yeah, No Country for Old Men, 10 out of 10, 5 stars.
James, were you a ladies' man in high school?
No.
Not smooth with the ladies. Are you married?
Yeah, just not my thing.
Okay.
So, sorry to interrupt. Do you swallow this?
Yeah.
Like a chew, you
no
spit it
idea.
out.
Yeah.
This, you just ingest it.
It's like a little fruit pouch. It just tastes good. It's a little sugary.
Yeah.
Each of them. What is the difference between the flavors, though? I just, they're like so vaguely. There's classic. There's the original, and then
You mean since Newsom fucked us over and took away flavored tobacco?
yeah. What's the difference between like how did they have 3 different non-flavored pouches?
That are still kind of flavored?
Yeah, I just
Even this classic one is still kind of flavored, right? It's such nonsense they did that.
yeah. Oh, and
I
there's
didn't even
the
know that was
chill.
a thing. That happened when?
They're
2
smooth,
years ago, a
chill,
year and a half, 2 years
classic,
ago?
original.
Yeah, that fucking idiot Newsom came in and said that they were gearing it towards kids, so they stripped away all flavored tobacco. So whether it's vaping, whether it's apple flavored Skull.
Can't even get fucking menthol cigarettes.
I'm 45 years old and I can't get my own fucking flavored tobacco. What kind of shit is that? But I can get whatever flavor of vodka I want.
Wow, yeah. But yeah, no
lobbyists.
sense.
No
Lobbyists.
no Kodiak. Wintergreen.
No more
They got that.
Wintergreen.
Yeah, it's all there.
Oh, I see.
Not wintergreen.
No,
I'm
not
sorry. It's
wintergreen.
just original
Mint or
plain
wintergreen
flavored
stuff.
stuff.
Because the wintergreen was the Kodiak. If you chew Kodiak, you're getting the wintergreen.
Yeah. Nobody chewed.
that's
If you were
crazy.
chewing regular long cut, you were chewing Copenhagen or Skull.
When we're fight over the border in Arizona or Nevada, the boys are always wanting some flavored tobacco products.
The flavored ones I've had the flavored ones, and honestly, I like the non-flavored ones better. There's nothing that like the citrus one's pretty good, I guess. The coffee one's is awful. That one's disgusting.
So I've been watching these fights on TV and watching these former UFC fighters take these celebrity fights, and I'm like, man, James could knock these guys. James could get in there and catch these guys.
When's the last time
James,
you've thrown some punches?
you ever
at
think about-
another human being?
You ever think about making a comeback?
No, not at all.
Not even a little bit, huh?
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the amount of time it would take me, like I would need to stop everything I'm doing, and I know what it would take for me to be able to do it again, and I'd need 6 months of my time, just to put myself in some kind of the right position to be able to go out there and perform well.
But if the money was right, if matchmakers out there, if you guys got a matchup, I'll train them. We'll get them into camp, and we'll make a super fight. Maybe we can make it happen.
No, my job is awesome. I love what I do.
Yeah.
I like what I do.
But yeah, just watching these fights, that's crazy that they've become so big. There's definitely a market for it. You watched the last Masvidal Diaz fight?
Yeah, I'd just like to know what the real numbers are, because they're all so full of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How much did they really get? Because they said what Diaz was going to get 500,000 and Masvidal was going to get 300. Like, did that really happen? What were the pay-per-view numbers? Were they getting pay-per-view on top of that, or was that included? More often than not, I mean, like Jake Paul's the worst at it, right? They're completely full of shit in how much money these organizations are really getting. So, I mean, who knows?
And that's part of the game too, right?
So those numbers that Jake Paul's saying that he's making on those fights are bullshit?
He's not making those.
So that's part of the business, is to create an illusion of success, because then if it looks successful, then people are more liable to watch it. Just like promotions will be real careful about how they video the crowd, so it seems like there's a lot of people there, then it's more exciting. And yeah, there might only be 50 people there. You just see the ring.
Yeah.
And they gave those tickets away, something like that, right?
Yeah. And then
They
picking
gave
up
a ton of them away.
and picking up sponsors, and you're trying to sell. So the sponsors are looking at this and how many people are going to see it. So the illusion of success is important, especially in the initial stages.
Yep.
But it looked like they packed that arena.
That one looked like it did pretty good.
Yeah, that was
The
in a big old-
undercard was garbage. Every fight before that was absolute trash. There was one guy that was from Floyd. What is that? TMT, Floyd Mayweather's gym. I mean, he just was like this. He got put up against a beagle basically, but it was the only other guy that could fight. And then there was Masvidal and Diaz, and that was a pretty, just was what it was. But the undercard was garbage. Not worth paying a single dollar for it. Carlos and I watched the whole damn thing. We almost fell asleep. Well, Carlos did fall asleep.
Yeah, you guys are used to some higher level. It's definitely just some entertainment fights,
Yeah, compared to ONE FC, even the undercards for ONE FC, like you don't even know who any of these guys are, and they're fucking killers.
But even a UFC, right? Say there's a dozen fights. Like, you're going to probably see at least 4, 5, maybe 6 fights that are pretty good, pretty competitive,
Yeah.
Not like boxing, where if it's a Mayweather fight, like the whole card is trash, right?
Is that how it typically is?
Ezra?
What's that?
So, like on a big money, like a Mayweather fight, right? When you talk about making $100 million, some crazy number for his fights, the rest of the card would be nothing.
As far as what they're making?
In terms of like who, whether it's a good fight, a low level fight, sandbags, and like you never see boxing with like Lomachenko and like big names down the card,
Yeah, it's a very constructed business. So, they have the main eventers, and then they have guys that they're building up, and then they bring in opponents. So, and then that's been a big problem for the boxing industry.
It's kind of wild to see how little, like you got a really good guy up against somebody who will last maybe 2 rounds.
Yeah, and trying to get your investment to 15-0, so they're more marketable. There's a lot of that, but that's one reason that the UFC was so refreshing and making the big fights. Now with Dana and the UFC era, in boxing we had to wait how many years for Mayweather and Pacquiao to fight, and they were like 40 years old. So in the UFC, in ONE FC now, we're getting those super fights. That's happening more often, and that's what the fans want to see. Boxing and all the different promoters and the businessmen in it, they hold the sport back a lot of times.
Yeah.
But now there's different kinds of fighting for the consumer to get into, and MMA is huge, and then Muay Thai is really on the rise. People are loving the striking component of combat, and the big promotions are making the super fights, and that's just shining to people buying these fights.
Yeah, the ONE FC's probably my favorite to watch right now, over
Yeah.
UFC even.
They're paying the guys big money, and they're making it awesome. And in boxing, you're seeing that too. We're seeing more super fights now in boxing because they got to compete.
I love how the ONE FC does the they'll have, you can watch the whole card and they'll have MMA, they'll have jiu-jitsu, and they'll have Muay Thai, which is cool because it shows the viewers a little bit of everything instead of just ground and pound or UFC, which is what it is. But you get to kind of dissect the MMA into what each one is.
You're seeing the athletes, some of them crossing over and trying other disciplines as well, and then that's showing the champions in those styles how good they really are.
Yeah.
It's very difficult
Yep.
for you to jump styles and do very good. So the athletes that are able to do that are even more special.
And the jiu-jitsu is cool because it's getting more competitive. You got a lot of these guys who have competed in striking, and they've gotten a little older, and now they're competing and still making some money in the jiu-jitsu. I know Uriah's doing that kind of stuff, and it gets it just gets these big name people back on the mat, and I'm sure they're kind of itching for it, and that way they don't have to get punched in the face.
It's all good though. It's normalizing combat sports and making it a household thing. And we're seeing that with our youth. They know the fighters' names. They're excited to learn, and they want to be like their heroes. Man, having you on's been great.
Yeah, James.
And yeah, you're a real Sacramento legend. We always talk about how strong the history of fighting in Sacramento is, and you're a big part of that. And to have you find your spot as one of the best GMs in the industry, that's awesome. Because so many guys that we came up with, they're not involved at all, and you really fit the role.
You're still pushing the sport and in a great area. Rockland's got a lot of young people, young families, and with it's a great place to be for you and you guys with the gym to get a lot of good prospects in here.
Imagine coming in. I mean, and James looks a bit different with the beard. The beard, he didn't have the beard back in the UFC days. So some people walk in and they don't even know it's him. And I said, I'm as Coach Ezra, and I used to train James. And I point over at the poster, Anderson Silva poster, and I said, that's James right there. And amazing, just so inspirational, and you get that when you come here on a daily basis.
Yep.
Let's see, how many people can you think of in the air? So, me, you, Uriah, Mary Nobles, Nasser. I know Cassio's been around for at least that long because he was there when I started. Wade, I don't think Wade's doing it no more.
Dude, didn't we see him?
But he's doing judging stuff now.
Yeah, he's working
with
for
the commission.
CSAC.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these guys are still involved.
Is that Team Wade Fitness? Is that his?
I don't think
place?
that's him. I know which
that's
one
a
you're
different
talking
guy.
about.
In
He
the
had
Grand
Vieira's
Bay.
Taekwondo
That's
for a
what
long
he had.
time.
Vieira's Taekwondo, yeah.
He had a very successful martial art gym. He was a martial art teacher, master teacher for a long time. Like Mayor Noble. Mayor Noble's one of the OG Sacramento Valley guys. And when martial arts and the full contact combat martial arts was growing, and you're from the era and still there for everyone to see. It's awesome.
It is. Well, have we reached 2 hours?
We have easily, and again, it's been great. I want to thank all the people that have been tuning in. The podcast has been reaching a lot of people and getting a lot of good feedback. We appreciate you guys. That's the goal of this. We want to get you guys inspired and involved. Please like, subscribe, comment, and we're looking forward to keeping it going.
Definitely. All right, James. Well, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate everything you do here and giving us this gym to use as our studio as well. Chris, thanks as always. Media Apex Production. And Ezra, thanks a lot, man. And that's a wrap for episode 8.